Hi, I'm Keith Burley, creator of the Reef Aquarium DVD and Reef Aquarium TV. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the MaxCap Performance Plus, which I have had the good fortune to install in my system. The MaxCap Performance Plus is a 5-stage, ultra-high efficiency, reverse osmosis, deionizing system, which is designed to deliver ultra-pure water with very low amounts of wastewater. The technology for this unit was originally developed in a unit costing hundreds more, but SpectraPure brought down the price on this unit while keeping the same advanced technology. The MaxCap Performance Plus is more expensive than many other RODI systems, so what do you get for your money? Well, unlike the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, this RODI unit has a brain. After installing the unit into my system, I can honestly say I'm extremely impressed with how the MaxCap Performance Plus works basically 100% automatically, and that I really don't have to ever monitor my water levels. The unit automatically flushes the system with pure RODI water, so the membrane lasts longer and saves money. When I make my water changes, my bucket fills in hours now instead of days. Also, I feel more confident that there is less of a chance of a mishap with water flowing onto my floor due to the many safety parameters built into the unit. The MaxCap Performance Plus did take some time and effort to integrate into my system, as it works with your reserve water bucket. I suggest you watch this video and read the manual before you attempt to install the unit. The first thing I noticed about the unit was that it was substantial. It has 5 stages with a pump. The unit weighs 25 pounds with no water, closer to 40 pounds with water. I made sure that my mount to the wall would be sturdy enough, so I screwed in an extra piece of plywood so the 3 keyhole openings would have something to grab onto. I did not use screws and a screw gun. I used lag bolts and a wrench to secure the unit firmly to the wall. The unit is so substantial that I chose to attach it to the wall without the canisters, as it is easier to handle with the less weight. I used a level to make sure the unit was even. Once I had the unit firmly bolted into the wall, then I attached all the canisters. The first canister on the left, where the tap water enters, is the Microtech sediment filter. This filter helps to remove the largest impurities and particulate matter from the tap water. Only snugly hand tighten the canisters. Do not use the filter wrench to tighten, as you might have trouble loosening the canisters later. The second filter is the carbon block filter, which removes organics and chlorine from the water. Next comes the thin film high rejection membrane. Not only does SpectraPure have one of the most advanced membranes, but they hand test each one before they are shipped, so you know you're getting a product that is proven to work. After the membrane, the water goes to stage 4, where we have the Mega MaxCap DI. This is the DI that specializes in phosphate removal. The 5th and final stage is the Enduro DI, which polishes the water and makes sure that it's absolutely pure water that you're putting into your tank. Next, you have to enable your MaxCap Performance Plus to talk to your water reserve. Unless you set up your storage tank like I'm about to show you, the RODI unit will not work properly. Here's a diagram from the manual on how to set up your freshwater storage tank. The first step we are going to do is install the high and low float sensors. We drill a 5/8 inch hole for each float sensor, being careful to make sure that there are no sharp edges. Once we are sure that the holes are smooth, we can mount the float sensors, making sure that the white washer is placed on the inside of the barrel. The floats are clearly marked. The low float turns on the system and the high float turns it off. Please note that these are plastic fittings, so you could break them if you over-tighten. Just make sure that the fit is snug and then leave it, as it should hold water just fine. Also, please orient the sensors so they float up. I found out the hard way that this system won't work if you install them hanging down. Near the bottom of the barrel, I carefully drilled a hole using a 1/13/16 drill bit and sanded the hole and made sure that there were no sharp edges. Then I installed the 3/8 inch bulkhead. When we attach the 3/8 inch tubing that is included, this fitting will allow the system to automatically flush out the lines and RODI unit with pure water. When I drilled this hole, I was a little worried about leakage, as it is at the very bottom of the barrel. But that worry has not come true, as it has been totally dry the whole time. One thing I did on my own was add a small coating of waterproof caulk on the inside and outside of the fittings. SpectraPure says you don't need it, but I find it makes me feel a little more secure about my bucket where I just added 3 new holes. My bucket did have a hole for the DI water input already. However, if you're starting from scratch, you need to drill a 1/2-inch hole near the top of your bucket, make the hole smooth, and install the 1/4-inch float valve assembly with the nut and the outside compression nut on the outside of the bucket. Again, don't over tighten it. My bucket also has an overflow hole just above the 1/4-inch float valve. This will allow water to trickle back down into the sink should something go wrong with both float valves. I like having redundancy in my systems. That same hole in a larger reservoir could be plumbed to a drain. Next, I can't say how important it is to get the right feed water adapter into your RODI unit. For years, I was using a faucet adapter and my pressure suffered for it. Now I've run a proper feed water adapter from the cold water line, and it has made a tremendous difference in water pressure and less water waste. I can honestly say I wish I had installed a feed water adapter years ago. Here's a helpful tip. To assure good seals in the push fittings, you can use a bit of waterproof grease that you can get at any local hardware store or pool supply store. Use a Q-tip to put a little on the inside of the collar and then on the outside of the 1/4-inch tubing. This makes the union extra watertight. You can use this technique if you ever see a leak from a push fitting. Mount the TDS meters using the double stick tape and plug them in. Make sure all electrical connections are secure. They are color-coded. Check all connections. Open the feed water adapter, and then you could turn on the system. The system pressure should be 80 to 100 psi. You can see that the MaxCap Performance Plus is now making water nicely. But how do we know it's pure? Well, let's check the TDS meters. The first meter shows how many impurities are coming into the unit from the tap. When we turn the switch over to out, it's showing us how many impurities are leaving the RO membrane. When we look at the other TDS meter, here is where I'm really impressed with the unit. Not only was I able to measure what was coming out of the whole RODI unit and seeing perfectly pure water, but I was able to see the water in between the membrane and the DI units, which were already at 0. I love having the dual TDS meters as I know what part of the unit is doing the heavy lifting. It also gives me a window into which elements will need replacing and why. For me, the big question is, how does this affect my main display tank? Is this unit helping me with my goal of having and maintaining a beautiful reef tank? Is it making my maintenance easier? For me, the answer is a resounding yes. Since I've installed the MaxCap Performance Plus, my phosphate levels have never risen above 0.00. Yes, there are other factors that have to do with phosphate, but now, with the MaxCap Performance Plus, I'm getting plenty of pure water that I know is phosphate-free. It was a little work to install it, but now I just leave the unit on and never think about water. Thanks to SpectraPure and their new MaxCap Performance Plus, water is one less worry for me. If you would like to order a MaxCap Performance Plus, you can go to aquariumspecialty.com, or you could call them at 803-788-4445. I'm Keith Burley. Thank you for watching.